In a capital built on promises where power wears a tie, Washington's halls echo with empty rhetoric and hidden agendas. A senator from Louisiana steps into the spotlight, not to flatter, but to expose. He offers no illusions, no sugarcoating. He dares you to see the absurdity, the hypocrisy, the folly, through laughter, through blunt truth. This is How to Test Negative for Stupid, a wild, witty ride through the heart of American politics, with a guide who doesn't fear being outrageous or honest. Washington never promised to be sane, but sometimes you just need someone bold enough to call out the circus. From bayous to the Senate floor, John Kennedy didn't arrive in Washington wrapped in illusions. He came from Louisiana, from small towns and bayous, where every person knows a real struggle and real common sense. He watched from the margins as politics greased the palms of the powerful, sidelined the honest, and prized spectacle above substance. His book, How to Test Negative for Stupid, isn't a memoir exactly, nor is it a policy treatise. It's a sharp-edged satire, a war cry, and a survival manual all in one. Kennedy walks you through the mess, the theater, the contradictions, and invites you to laugh, but also to think. From the first pages, he warns, Washington is stubborn. It isn't going to change for you or me. But perhaps by seeing how broken things are, we can start to demand something better. Where reality becomes absurd, step behind the curtain, and you'll find that Washington runs less on truth and more on optics. Kennedy argues that so much of political life is performance. Sound bites over substance, social media over strategy, grievance over governance. He wryly recalls how senators posture, how committees meet just to meet, how leaders speak in doublespeak, and how real issues get drowned in noise. He offers anecdotal glimpses, the backroom deals, the lobbyists whispering in ears, the fundraising dinners where promises are bartered like auction items. He jokes that sometimes you wonder whether Congress is run by actors reading cue cards instead of public servants drafting laws. But beneath the humor lies a sober refrain. When spectacle is rewarded more than solutions, the system becomes self-perpetuating. The loudest, not the wisest, win. Through these observations, Kennedy teaches us to question what we see. Don't swallow theatrics whole, unless you know the loopholes. One of Kennedy's sharpest threads is his insistence that common sense is the casualty of Washington. He quips, "Common sense is illegal in Washington, D.C." I know, I've seen it firsthand. But he doesn't just complain. He shows how insiders learn to navigate the absurdity. He uses metaphors, political streams, pigs in the creek, water that won't clear until the filth is removed. He tells you how to spot nonsense, when logic is replaced by spin, when policy is exchanged for PR, when complexity is weaponized to hide incompetence. He invites the reader and viewer to reclaim their own clarity, demand answers, insist on plain talk, refuse to let jargon bully you. Real voices can pierce the noise. He also acknowledges that you don't have to be an expert to see when something's obviously wrong. He gives you mental tools, skepticism, curiosity, refusal to accept that's how things are. Quotes, quips, and stark truths. If the book were a punch parade, these lines would be the punchlines, but they also carry weight. Always be yourself, unless you suck. If you trust government, you obviously failed history class. I have the right to remain silent, but not the ability. I believe our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots. Each quip is like a mirror held up to Washington's face. Kennedy uses humor not to soften the blow, but to sharpen it. He strolls along contradictions. Free speech, yet selective censorship. Loud patriotism, yet muted accountability. Tradition, yet constant reinvention of the same failures. He reminds us that satire can sting, and that a good laugh can sometimes carry a hammer. When you realize it's not about parties, it's about principles. One of the book's deeper lessons, this isn't left versus right, it's integrity versus convenience. Kennedy doesn't pretend every Republican is saintly or every Democrat corrupt. He targets the system itself and the incentives that steer both sides. He argues, the rot isn't partisan, It's systemic. He asks tough questions. When will leaders stop chasing fundraising over reform? When will policymakers work for citizens, not contributors? When will accountability no longer be optional? He also warns, cynicism is a trap. It's easy to shrug and say, what difference does it make? But when we stop demanding better, we give permission for worse. He ends many chapters with a call. Stay awake, stay vocal, keep your moral compass, even in a place built for losing direction. The comedy of consequences. Laughing at absurdity doesn't absolve the cost. Kennedy doesn't shy away from showing how the circus in DC harms real people, how slow decisions, waste, secrecy, and ego games bleed budgets, erode trust, and leave communities behind. He juxtaposes big talk, defense, health, infrastructure, with the inches of neglect, rural towns, underfunded schools, forgotten bridges. The punchline is tragic. While the nation debates illusions, lives stall. He forces us to see that political folly is not harmless theater. It demands accountability, and that laughter, if it doesn't spur action, can become anesthesia. How to test negative for stupid, a guide to resist the madness. Kennedy doesn't leave you helpless. He gives you a mental checklist, a map, a way forward. Question the narrative. Don't take politics at face value. Call out contradictions. If someone's words don't match their actions, ask why. Demand clarity. Say, explain it like I'm 5. Value integrity over optics. Reward authenticity. Stay curious. Knowledge is your best protection. Resist cynicism. Use humor, but keep your urgency. He frames these not as grand solutions, but as personal weapons. Because sometimes the only way to win is not to play by their broken rules. Final act. A call to wits, not passivity. In the closing pages, Kennedy doesn't pretend any miracle is coming. Washington, he insists, will never fully test negative for stupid. The inertia is too entrenched, the incentives too twisted. But that's not a defeat. It's a starting point. He says, accept the cruelty of the system but refuse to accommodate it. Be the one who laughs and then insists on better. So here's your mission as audience, as citizen, as human. See the absurdity. Name it. Mock it. But more than that, refuse to sit silent. Speak, push, vote, pressure. Because sometimes truth is loud, but it doesn't always roar. And though Washington never will test negative for stupid, maybe you can.